Okay, fabulous.
Does it? Are the mics on?
Yes.
Okay.
Can everyone hear us?
Yes.
Great.
Great.
Wow. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here this evening. And first of all, can we give a huge round of applause for Sheila's debut today? Woo!
Thank you.
For those of you who don't know me, I'm Aishwarya Iyer. I'm so lucky to call myself a dear friend of Sheila's, and I'm an entrepreneur based here in LA. I have a company called Brightland. We make delicious and beautiful olive oils. So when you're leaving, definitely grab a mini bottle over there from the back to help zhuzh up your salads and all of your yummy meals.
One of Oprah's favorite things.
One of Oprah's favorite things.
In addition, one of my favorite things, but Oprah.
Yes, but let's talk about one of Mindy's favorite things right now, which is Friends in Napa. I think I can safely say, for those of you who know you, who don't know you, everyone is so excited about this. This is your second novel. And I want to kick off the conversation by asking you, did you know from the beginning where this book was headed? Or did you sit back and say, you know what, I'm going to let it play out over time and rewrite and edit?
I knew from the beginning. Actually, it's mentioned in the acknowledgments too, but I sketched this out with my husband, Nikhil, who's in the second row over here, over a bottle of wine. Can't remember what that bottle was, but he had been reading a bunch of thrillers that were set in Napa, and I don't remember. I don't know if I even ever knew the names of them, but it was it was something like The Killer in the Cellar, or like the Murder in the Winery. Like that's like all of which are great and good, but more kind of traditional thrillers. And I was wondering if I could do something kind of similar, but with my own kind of spin and style. I'm not necessarily a thriller or a suspense author. I really I like satire. I like dark comedies. So from the beginning, the idea was let's see if I can create a kind of White Lotus style wine country murder mystery where, yeah, someone is going to die and you're going to have a body in the introduction. You're going to know that's going to happen, but you'll have to read all the way to the end to find out who it was and why it happened.
And from the beginning, was Napa the number one spot? Like you knew that that's where it was going to be based, because you're probably the person that I know who travels the most. So you could have picked, and everyone who knows Sheila knows this. So you could have picked any beautiful location in the world, and you picked Napa. So tell us why.
I have been to Napa more times than I can count. I would like to say, maybe 24, maybe more than that. Wow. Having lived in the Bay Area for a year and a half, I got to go a lot then. Now being in Los Angeles, it's quite easy to get up there. I also think that in the popular imagination, Napa, especially in America, it's wine country. Mm-hmm. It's, of course, there are many places where you can grow wine, but that is just kind of the first place that many people think of when they think of wine in the US. And especially from a tourism perspective, the kinds of resorts and wineries and restaurants that you have in Napa, it's hard. I can't think of another place in this country where you'd be able to have a book like this kind of set.
Something that really struck me when I was reading the book was how richly detailed every single character's inner lives, inner thoughts, what they were wearing for any scene. And I was blown away by that. So I want to hear more about how you thought through that. Did you sketch something out visually? Did you have something when you close your eyes, you could just picture them? How did you do it? And how did you do it scene after scene?
I did actually, and I still have it up in my office. I had some kind of big sketch pad pieces of paper where I did my own, like hack together a whiteboard of the 6 main characters. What labels are they wearing? What are they drinking? What are they reading? What are they doing in their spare time? Just kind of notes, like to kind of get my head around, like, who are they and what would they look like? And then I think it was maybe after I wrote the first draft, I was in the second, and like I was trying to find specific things for, especially the women actually all of them, the men too, to be wearing. And I had an issue of, maybe it was British Vogue, and I just started tearing out advertisements and sticking them up next to the papers and writing on them and saying, this is what Raj wants Rachel to look like, and this is what Rachel's actually wearing, and this is the outfit that Victoria is wearing when they land in SFO and things like that. So that was very intentional.
When you're writing, are you rooting for any of the characters? Are you like, as you're writing, are you excited to like plot their demise literally and figuratively? Like, how are you thinking about the characters?
I am excited to plot their demise. But there's definitely, look, there are days where a certain character is really speaking to me and I'm really excited to dive into a chapter with them. I would say that actually, the one that I maybe had the hardest time with was David. And I don't want to give anything away because I know a lot of people haven't read the book, but yeah, he is. All of these people are kind of loathsome in their own ways, but David is particularly. Maybe it's the fact that he just doesn't realize how quite awful he is. Trying to get into that headspace was a little bit harder, but like any other job or line of work, there are days where it's like great and wonderful and the words are coming quite naturally, and then there are other days where I'm like, why am I doing this? Why did I sign up for this? Why did I agree to a very aggressive deadline? Because I just don't know what to say.
Yeah, that dovetails perfectly into my next question, which is what was the most challenging part of the book to write? And then on a fun note, what was the most like fun, like the part that you were just like, you couldn't stop writing?
Ooh, that's a great question. I would say it was okay. So both the murder, when it finally happens, that was both challenging and fun in different ways because I wanted it to be funny, and it's kind of hard to make a murder funny. And you can tell me if I succeeded in that or not. But it also has to be, you have to kind of work with real emotions there. Like there has to be a reason that one character is going to do this most awful thing to someone else. And the reader has to feel like, okay, this is like an actual justified thing. But then to turn it into a sort of moment of levity and to infuse it with that sort of like campy, like, I don't know. I think of like movies like The Hangover or Bridesmaids or like, where yes, awful things are happening, but you're able to like watch as a member of the audience and kind of laugh along. That was both hard and fun.
What did you cut out of the book?
What did I cut out of the book? A lot. I think that there were some reminiscence, their kind of memories of college that ended up on the cutting room floor because I wanted to keep the narrative going. And if you have people kind of flashing back and going forward like too often, then it's easy to get sort of lost and like, wait, where are we going? Where is this story proceeding?
In the credits, I saw that you wrote about Napa and the research that you did. So can you tell us, I think we have an idea of what kind of research you did in some ways, but tell us more about the research. What was that like? And what were the questions that you wanted answered?
It was so grueling, let me tell you. I actually went to Napa it was March of 22 with 5 members of my family, all of whom are here. Nikhil, Ritu, Chris, Nikki, and Neeraj, and we stayed at a house that that was the model for the house where all of these characters stay. And there were certain things that certain quirks about this house, like it had an electric stove that kept setting off the fire alarm, and no one could figure out why. That made it into the book. There were also several wineries that we visited, Promontory being one of them, that were fictionalized and found a kind of mirror of themselves in the book too. But of course, having been to Napa many times, having drank more glasses of wine than I can count, every sort of experience I've had, I think a lot of these characters feel like fish out of water once they get to wine country. And I think it's very easy, especially in these like very rarefied, like, you know, you're going to places where bottles might cost like $300 or $500 or $1,000. And like, that is certainly not something that I'm doing, but it's kind of easy to put yourself in the shoes of someone who would be in that situation and wanting to absorb it, but also feeling like, oh my gosh, this is like, what world is this?
Yeah. If you could recommend for like a Napa newbie where to go, what would be the 101?
Oh, gosh. Okay. You're really putting me in the hot seat. It depends. Okay. It depends on who you're going with and what kind of time you want to have.
Okay. We don't want to recreate the situation.
You don't want
a murder to happen.
Okay. Yes. Where would I go? You know, gosh, I haven't stayed in Napa proper in a little while. The last time I was there, I was actually in downtown Napa, which isn't highlighted a lot in this book, but actually has some great restaurants and wine bars. There's one called Cadet, where you can taste a lot of wine that is from the region and also from other parts of the world. But it's kind of a good, especially if you're a newbie, it's kind of a good starting point. I would actually suggest, yes, stay downtown. You can easily get to, you can easily Uber or get a car service around to wineries in the area. But then there's like kind of a buzz going on. And if you decide that you want to have that like more rustic vineyard experience, you can discover while you're there where exactly you would like to station for your next trip.
So speaking of discovery,
yes,
this is your second book. Sheila has an amazing best-selling novel that came out last year, or was it 2022?
The year before.
2022, called The Goddess Effect.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about Easter eggs, secrets. Like, is that something you do in your books? And should we be looking out for them?
I wish I could tell you that I do, but no. When I'm in the process of writing something like this, I have no idea what I'm doing next.
Okay.
At least that was the case with Friends in Napa, and it was also the case with The Goddess Effect. But that's a great idea. I mean, maybe for whatever comes next, I'll think about that. And I do love the idea of bringing back characters from other books.
Whoa.
Yeah. But they're in a new role and they're with a whole bunch of new people. So it's not a sequel, but like,
it's like a Marvel Universe situation.
Oh, that's a great, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like having Anita and Anjali interact.
I love that.
Oh
my goodness. I could totally see that.
Right?
I could totally see that.
It would be crazy.
Actually, wow, that's a really good idea because Anita at the end of The Goddess Effect ends up in the wine industry.
Whoa.
Damn. I should have talked to you about this before I wrote it.
If you could choose to be one of the characters for a day, who would you choose and why?
I mean, I think I kind of want to be Rachel.
Why?
She's got a great wardrobe. She has a horrible sense of self, but I picture her having like that Carrie Bradshaw closet.
Oh yeah,
like with all of the like, there's like nice boxes for everything, and it's all organized because she has a staff too. And yeah, she's really unhappy, but everything looks very pretty from the outside. So if I only had to be her for like a day, I think it would be okay.
I think that mine would be Victoria. I think I shared that with you. I love Victoria. I think she's just like borderline grifting.
Yeah.
But really like in a amazing headspace.
Victoria has been a sleeper hit. I really I'm very pleasantly surprised at how many people have resonated with her, because I didn't want her to come off as a joke, but she is supposed to provide a little bit of levity. And yeah, I think that people are finding much more in common with her than I originally anticipated. And that's a really great thing. I mean, she's just trying to find herself like pretty much all of us. So yeah.
Which character would you do a spinoff with?
Rachel's another good one, especially because of how her character arc goes and where it ends. Actually, but no, Anjali. Yeah, I'm gonna say Anjali especially because of
That's so funny. I put not Anjali here. So we can't choose Anjali.
Okay, we can't choose Anjali. Okay, another. Well, I can't go through all of them because then you're gonna know who dies. But okay, so we're gonna say Rachel then.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But who knows? I mean, maybe Rachel did die and she's in the afterlife and she's a dragon or a fairy or something. And yeah.
For any aspiring writers who are sitting with us, what do you know now that you wish you had known at the beginning of this particular writing journey?
I know. At the beginning of this particular writing journey, I wish I had known that I do not need to be so precious about my own writing process. I thought that I needed, 5 hours of silence and like a very specific, like, okay, I've got to do my workout and then I've got to do have this kind of coffee and this breakfast and then sit down and then I'm just gonna it's all gonna happen. And it often did not happen like that. What eventually makes me write is having a deadline, having the threat of having to return my advance if I don't get it done. And yeah, I think that, sometimes inspiration strikes at odd hours and you can write on your phone, you can write on a notepad, a piece of paper, or you can do it on your computer, whatever works. But I don't want to only do the writing in these very defined blocks of time. It's just not working for me right now.
And also for an aspiring writer, where would you say someone should go to get inspired? If somebody's one day I want to write a book, but I don't know where to start, what would I write about? And I know I want it to be fiction and a compelling story. What would you tell them?
I would tell them, number one, keep some sort of diary. And it doesn't have to be something that you write in every single day. It can be on your phone. It can be in a Google Doc. But I think that if you're just writing down, and it doesn't have to be a narrative, Dear Diary, today I did this. It can just be, just maybe interesting, something that you heard that stuck in your mind or something you saw or just memories of that particular day. Because I think that when it comes to actually doing fiction, so much, at least for me, so much of it is drawn from my actual life and things that people I know have experienced. And to have some sort of record of that, and also just the act of writing it down, makes it a lot easier to remember and recall.
If you closed your eyes, who would you really want to play? Well, I'm going to start with Raj, and then I'll go through the list.
Okay. Raj is Hasan Minhaj.
Okay. Anjali?
I thought about that one. Okay. I really saw Mindy Kaling. And again, and these castings are not all necessarily good. They may not all be able to be in the same movie together. I don't really know. But so I'm going to talk all of them individually. Yeah. Anjali is Mindy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rachel and David.
David is this guy from, he was in an episode of Portlandia. And also maybe, what was that show with Thomas Hayden Church and Sarah Jessica Parker, the Divorce? Yeah. I cannot for the life of me figure out what his name is. I can see him in my head. He's he's a character actor and he has glasses and he has kind of hair that's I'm not explaining it well. I don't think he's from New Zealand. Yeah, I tried to figure out his name and I can't. So that's who David is.
And who's Rachel?
Rachel, when I was writing, I kind of saw Margot Robbie, but then after seeing Barbie, and obviously she is now Barbie, so I don't know that I would put her in these shoes. Maybe Amanda Seyfried. Yeah.
How about Hari?
He's Hari. Hari's a hard one. Maybe that guy from Lost, the what's his name? Sendal Ramamurthy? Yeah, maybe him.
Okay. And then Victoria. My fave.
Maybe Constance Wu.
And when you were writing, since you clearly have these, just especially Hasan and Mindy, that was so fast.
Yeah.
Did you think of those actors when you were writing it too? Did elements of their personality come into the book?
I wouldn't say that elements of their personality did, but I would say that like I could kind of see their faces. I mean, I certainly don't know Hassan personally, and I like his comedy and I respect him, but I can also see him sort of being like a person that's very charming on the outside, but then like secretly quite evil. So like as an actor, like he could play a character who could do that. He just sort of has, I feel like he has that ability to do both at the same time. So yeah, but I wouldn't say, I mean, not actually knowing any of these people, yeah, none of their characteristics went in.
What message or feeling do you want readers to take away after they've completed this book? When they like slam it shut, what do you want them to be feeling?
What do I want them to be feeling? I would like that their notions of who's good and evil are totally overturned and thrown out. Because I don't think that anyone is all good or all bad. And I think that there are just vagaries of personalities, and there are many sides to every story. So I think I want people to sort of not judge a book by its cover when sort of encountering any of these characters or anyone like them in real life. What's
the best setting for someone to be reading this book?
Ooh,
like where do you want them to be?
I'd like them to have a glass of wine or the beverage of their choosing, and someplace, I don't know, I'm sort of picturing like a blanket and a cozy chair, or like a sofa, maybe like that, or like the one that Zan's sitting in. Even though we're going into spring and maybe it's not like the blanket season, chair. But yeah, we do have some boucle chairs at home that are very good for reading. But yeah, I think that's the ideal setting. I mean, look, if you want to read it at a beautiful vineyard, that's also a great thing to do, but you maybe also want to like be soaking in that atmosphere in a different way if you're over there.
What is your favorite writing spot? And then what's your favorite reading spot?
Favorite writing spot is my office with the keyboard that actually clicks. It's like an Apple Magic keyboard. It's not a typewriter. And favorite reading spot. Maybe those boucle chairs. I like those. Yeah. We have 4, and if you take like, I can turn one. They rotate, so I can like stick my feet on one, and like it turns it into like a loungy situation.
Who would you actually be friends with from the book?
None of them. Oof, probably none of them. Yeah, no, none of them. No, I don't think I want any of them in my life.
Even though it's an amalgamation of the people who are in your life.
And myself, yeah. Yes, even despite that. I mean, they all have good qualities about them, but they're all like kind of self-obsessed and on the wrong path. So yeah, I think thankfully I don't have anyone exactly like any of these characters in my life.
What's the best music to listen to while writing?
I can't listen to music while writing.
Okay.
I end up focusing too much on the music.
Okay.
But I'm trying to change that too. I like to have jazz on in the background, but sometimes it just doesn't work.
Time of day to write?
Morning.
What's a good book you've read recently?
I'm right now reading, I'm in the middle of 100 Other Girls by Iman, I believe it's Hariri Kia, and it's kind of a modern day Devil Wears Prada, which sounds crazy to say because Devil Wears Prada is not that old of a movie, but if you imagine like Miranda Priestley with social media, or like in our like current TikTok age, what it would be like to be an assistant for someone like that. It's a novel, and it's really fun. It's giving me the same like sort of energy that like rewatching The Devil Wears Prada would. What's the best writing block cure? You just have to do it. A deadline and the threat of having to give back money. Yeah. Or not making the money. Yeah. Those are both good. What would the Friends in Napa, let's say it was a show, what would the theme song be? Oh wow, I don't know. I'm just hearing the White Lotus theme song, and I can't take that.
There's the Big Little Lies theme song that
That's
comes
also
up
a
too. That
great
could be a good
one.
fit.
That's also a great one. I don't know. Maybe we get someone to like compose. Maybe like Diplo can compose something for her. Something really weird. Yeah.
What's your favorite writing snack? I have to ask about food.
Oh, what's my favorite writing snack? And we talked about this a little bit on Aishwarya's podcast. Maybe Baby Bells and the Erewhon seed crackers.
Oh, that's a great combo.
Yeah, the Zatar seed crackers. I like those. Yeah.
Can you tell us what's next after Friends in Napa?
So I can't say too much about it right now, but I can tell you that there are going to be more privileged people behaving very badly in a beautiful destination.
In literature form, perhaps?
Oh, and yes, in literature form.
Amazing. We cannot wait to read it. I'd love to open up the audience.
Yes.
Ask away.
Questions.
Are there going to be any more murders in the next one?
Good question. Quite possibly. Yeah, I haven't. I'm still what actually happens is still kind of marinating, but probably, yeah, something bad. Yes. Yes.
So I came in looking for a good book, and I wasn't aware you were speaking, but I'm buying this book, and I want you to sign it because I love Napa wines. So my question to you, which is sort of off track a little, because we're up there over 2,000 or 24 times, right? Do you have a favorite cab winery and a favorite Chardonnay winery?
Oh, favorite cab and a favorite Chardonnay.
Winery.
Sure. For cabs, I have to say Promontory to visit. It's one of the most spectacular places I've ever seen. The architecture, the service, the hospitality there, and the wines are also excellent. But for me, what really sets that place apart is the way that it looks and feels. And yeah, that would be my pick for a cab. For Chardonnay, I would probably go to Sonoma, and I would go to Linmar or maybe Flowers. Yeah, they both have. Say that again.
Make recommendation. Camus for cab.
Oh.
And also Ron Bauer for Chardonnay.
Oh,
But
okay.
I think a beautiful winery is Duckhorn. If you visit that one, that's.
I don't think I've been there. I'm trying to think. Yeah, no, I must have passed by Duckhorn, but thank you. Thank you so much.
Ooh, that's
Amanda, let's. Yes.
Yeah, your cover is so iconic, and the journey to an iconic cover is never smooth or linear. And I was wondering if you could tell us about the journey to this incredible cover.
Wow. Well, first I have to say that Amanda is the author of a book that is coming out next week. I can't even believe that she's here. She is the Joan Didion of our generation. Woo! And her book is called The Age of Magical Overthinking, and everyone should buy it. She also hosts a very popular podcast called Cultish. I know. No, I'm doing it. Yes. So, okay, the journey with the cover. Quite honestly, they gave me a survey, and I don't know if your publisher did this as well, but I believe it's pretty common in the industry where you write the book and then the marketing department sends you a whole bunch of stuff to fill out, including questions about what sort of inspiration, what ideas do you have for the cover? And more often than not, what I've understood so far is that I don't know if they actually take any of that into account. Or if they just decide like, okay, cool, cute. We're going to just do our own thing. So I filled it out. I sent in some, there's an artist, Brandon Lee Jones. Is that his name? Lee Wise. Who we have one of his prints of it's a guy who's drinking a glass of wine and his head is exploding. And it's very, it's like kind of cartoonish. It's very cool. I wanted to commission him to do something original for the cover of the book. That did not happen. So I sent that served the response back, and then 6 months later got a draft of what the cover would look like, and it was basically this. And I loved it. I think it's just it encapsulates like you've got the wine dripping, and it's juicy. It's gripping. It's all of the puns. I love the yellow and the contrast. So yeah, it was. I shared my thoughts, and they shared something else entirely, and I'm really happy with it. Yes.
So you alluded to what the themes of your next book are, and something that stood out is you reference privileged people. So what does that mean to you, and why does it fascinate you?
Privileged people to me means people who on paper have the money and the means and the sort of material trappings to be happy, successful, at ease. They're not wanting for anything materialistically, but there's something kind of deeply wrong with them. Maybe they're just not, maybe they're not in love with their partner, or they're not satisfied with where they are in life, or they have confidence issues. I don't know, but yeah, I think it's this idea of, I think social media has all sort of conditioned us to believe that everyone is doing so much better than us, and everyone is always having all of these successes. But when you scratch beneath the surface, you often find that everyone has their problems and everyone has their troubles, and a lot of that is not being shared. So a theme I keep coming back to is the things that look pretty on the outside, but are really kind of messy and fraught within. That's what I would say is, yeah. Allison?
You kept doing journalism while you were writing this book. How do you toggle back and forth between your fiction and your journalism, and do they enhance each other, or is it like a difficult gear shift?
I do think they enhance each other, because I can do maybe I have 3 good hours of writing fiction in me per day, and after that I kind of burn out. But writing an article or doing emails or transcribing or interviews associated with an article is totally different, and I can do that. And in fact, I want to do that, because the sort of wins and the being able to check the box with an article, for me, comes a lot quicker than finishing a book or finishing a draft. And the problems that arise with journalism, like filling the holes in a story, usually you can make another call or there are ways to find the facts that will tie the story together. With fiction, it ends up being like, oh no, it doesn't make sense that this character did this, because that stuff is harder for me to untie. So I like to switch to an article when that happens and come back to it later. Hi, yes.
So I was able to read a copy of the book, and there's so much specificity in the characters, like you guys discussed, but I'm wondering, I know that you said you mapped out different labels that the characters would wear, but in terms of details with their clothing, the food that you included, all of that detail, was it stuff that you felt like you needed to research, or was it or how did you research, if you researched, or were there certain moments where you were like, I have to go to this restaurant, and that's it, because there's so much detail in everyone.
There were certainly times where I told myself I had to go to that restaurant too. We have to go back to Napa. Nikhil and I went back to Napa in November of 22. Yeah, 22. To do more research, and it did end up informing. Especially there's a spa treatment section of the book, and that comes directly from that trip. But mostly it was, I spend a lot of time online and kind of looking at with the instance of clothes, what people are wearing, what brands are trending. I'm also part of a Facebook group called the Peloton Bougie Bees, which is the inspiration for the Money Honeys, which is a Facebook group that Rachel is part of, and that she's sort of she's kind of posting a pantomime of her own life, and constantly she's the Kim Kardashian of that group, or that's how how she describes it. But the stuff that people talk about in there is like it's a fascinating to me. It's like an anthropological look at 20,000 people who self-identify as bougie and may or may not own a Peloton, who are in this closed Facebook group where they talk about all sorts of like everything from, where can I get this purse repaired to, I think my husband is cheating on me, who knows a private investigator, like just really, really out there stuff. And that totally serves as research for me. Amish?
What would Cornell Sheila say about Friends in Napa?
Oh, wow. Okay, so Amish and I went to Cornell together. I think you were a year younger than me?
Yeah.
And somehow you have some of the most embarrassing photos of me that I didn't know that there was still a record of them. But what would Cornell Sheila think of this book? Oof. Cornell Sheila didn't read as much as she probably should have. So I think she would just be like, cool, I'm gonna go to Dunbar's. Like, yeah. But but no, I mean, I would like to think she would pick it up, but she wouldn't. Yeah. Cool. Well,
As a
Hi,
writer,
Tom.
having
Yes.
written 2 books now, do you think you have found your niche, your style, or you are still exploring for some other genres or themes to get into?
I would like to write something nonfiction, eventually. I still haven't figured out what that would be. I'd also like to do something maybe memoir adjacent. So yeah, those are sort of in my sights, but I'm not quite ready. So yeah, when the time comes, I'm excited to dive into that. Yes.
Hi. What are one of your one of the things I liked about this talk was that it's obvious you've thought very deeply about your characters. What are some of your favorite ways to incorporate or just create characters with like, I don't know if you have just like interesting ways of thinking about that. And then also, do you feel like when you think about South Asian versus non-South Asian characters, that you feel like you compare the South Asian characters to South Asian people versus not, you know what I mean? Like, is there a parallel between the ethnicity and the character, or do you feel like that kind of mixes?
I think what for the second part of the question, if it's a South Asian character, there are aspects of them that are not necessarily related to them being South Asian, or they're just features of their personality. I think I've read many great novels and works of nonfiction that deal with the sort of like having 2 feet and 1 foot in either world, and those are valuable, and I'm glad that they're there, but I don't really want to peddle in that sort of genre anymore. And then in terms of just coming up with characters, I mean, I guess it's like, I don't know, making a salad. You just want stuff that like is going to go well together, but in the fictional sense, going well means like things are going to have to like explode. There's going to have to be some sort of tension there. So if one person is an extrovert, then maybe someone else has to be either an introvert or someone who's just sort of turned off by something that the extrovert is doing. Yeah, so I like to like kind of have like a mix of different personalities like that, and also some characters that I would like to think more people could relate to. So like you were saying that V was one of your favorites. I haven't met anyone that thinks that David is their favorite. I would actually be a little bit concerned if I did, but I would hope that everyone that different readers have different characters that really speak to them. Amazing. Well, I have to thank Aishwarya and Zibby's and Brightland and Sipwell, which has provided us with this delicious wine, of which I believe there's still a whole bunch over there. So, yeah,
Thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming.
Sheila.
I'll be signing books, so if you have a copy, if you want me to sign it, I will be right here.
Woo!
Thank you. Yay.
This is fabulous. Ah,
This was amazing.
Amazing.
So good. Oh my gosh, you had the best question.